On the morning of December 7th, the USS Ward, a destroyer dating back to World War I, was patrolling the defensive perimeter. The Ward's crew was primarily made up of naval reservists from Minnesota. Their commanding officer was William W. Outerbridge, who had taken command just the day before. At 3:42 a.m., over 4 hours before the aerial attack would begin, the Ward received a report that a minesweeper had spotted a periscope 1 3/4 miles south of the entrance to Pearl Harbor.
We went over in her direction and searched for about an hour, but could find no evidence of any periscope or any submarines.
2 hours later, the Ward received word that the crew of a supply ship towing a barge into Pearl Harbor had spotted a submarine conning tower. At 6:37, the Ward sighted the submarine behind the supply ship. Captain Outerbridge decided to attack and sounded general quarters. The crew scrambled to their battle stations.
Approximately 6:30, our lookouts spotted what they thought was a buoy, but the buoy seemed to be moving, and as we closed in on it, could see that it definitely was a submarine.
It looked like a 55-gallon drum or a buoy had broken loose or something, and it was floating out there.
Fireman Second Class Will Lehner joined the men on deck for general quarters.
It didn't look like an ordinary submarine. This thing was only 78 feet long, and it was very small. And I had no idea what it was, other than I knew it must have been a submarine because it was in the water, had the conning tower, but who did it belong to? I didn't know.
The Ward's captain ordered her #1 gun to fire. But it was difficult to crank the gun low enough.
When she fired as low as she could, that shot went over. And that was really the first shot of the war.
This first shot missed, falling beyond the Japanese submarine's small conning tower. Then, as the Ward raced past the sub, her #3 gun opened fire. This shot appeared to score a direct hit. The Ward then rolled 4 depth charges off the rear of the ship. At the same time, an American seaplane dropped a brace of depth charges.
I was standing aft on the starboard side, and I saw it as it was going down. I was probably 50 feet from it. A lot of stuff came up from the water after the depth charges exploded, and we thought, oh boy, we got it.
It was approximately 6:45 a.m. Although the aerial assault would not start for another hour, the first shots of the Pearl Harbor attack had just been fired. By the United States, not the Japanese. 8 minutes later, Captain Outerbridge sent a coded message to the 14th Naval District headquarters. We have attacked, fired upon, and dropped depth charges upon submarine operating in defensive sea area. Japanese planes were still an hour away. Prompt reply might have changed history. But it took nearly an hour for the report to be sent up the chain of command. By that time, the bombs would be falling. This was not the only encounter with a submarine that morning. During the aerial attack, there was a dramatic engagement between an American destroyer and another midget submarine. This time, inside Pearl Harbor.
At that time, the American destroyers were sprinting out of the harbor under full steam, trying to get out into the harbor and intercept the Japanese fleet.
At 8:36 a.m., well into the aerial attack, the USS Curtis encountered the second midget sub. It fired 1 torpedo at the Curtis, which narrowly missed, slamming into a dock. At the same time, the USS Monaghan opened fire, and her captain gave the order to ram. The sub turned and fired her second torpedo. It missed, passing within 50 yards of the Monaghan's starboard side. But the Monaghan kept on its course.
The destroyer USS Monaghan rammed the submarine, rolled right over it, crushed it. As they rolled over it, they rolled off depth charges. However, the harbor was so shallow that when the depth charges went off, they lifted the entire stern of the USS Monaghan out of the water. The destroyer went out of control and smashed into a barge.
Of the 5 submarines, 2 had been sighted and sunk. The next morning, a naval shore patrol found the 3rd washed up on a beach on eastern Oahu. Crippled with a broken gyro compass, this midget submarine had floundered helplessly during the attack. The Japanese crew had attempted to destroy it, but their scuttling charge had failed. Ensign Kazuo Sakamaki was found nearby in the surf, half dead from exposure.
After he was captured, he begged his captors to shoot him because no Japanese ever was to be permitted to be a prisoner of war, and he was prisoner of war number 1.
Today, Ensign Sakamaki's submarine is on display at the Museum of the Pacific War in Fredericksburg, Texas. But the first submarine that was attacked by the Ward that day was never found. For over 60 years, there was no proof that the Ward shot had found its target.
Afterwards, people were saying, oh, that submarine could have got underway again and got way out to sea before it sank. But we knew that it had been sunk because when those 4 depth charges went off, it just rolled over and went down.
Could the Ward shot really have sunk this sub? With the distances involved, the small target, and the fact that the attack was a surprise, the answer would seem to be no. To illustrate how hard this shot would be, we went to an unusual laboratory. A modern Aegis destroyer, the USS Fitzgerald. There, weapons officer Lieutenant Matt Evans and his team demonstrated the challenges of making such a precise shot. They are about to run a drill simulating the Ward's attack on the mini-sub, this time with the aid of modern technology.
The lessons that we learned from the USS Ward submarine attack is that you always have to be ready for different circumstances at any time.
In 1941, the target was sighted by the naked eye. Today, electronics locate and track the target. A radar operator locks on the mini-sub.
Request kill check number 7121.
Roger, out.
A weapons officer programs his system, and artillery automatically tracks the target's movement. On the Ward, the heavy artillery shells had to be loaded by hand. On a modern destroyer, the ammunition is automatically loaded. The Ward's gun was positioned and aimed manually. The Fitzgerald's weapons officer can aim his artillery with the push of a finger. With the target in sight, the Ward's gunner would fire the weapon by pressing down on a foot pedal. On the Fitzgerald, the computer actually fires the gun. No target can escape.
Okay, we're ready.
KUB target has been engaged. Launch sequence has been entered. All stations standing by to launch OTS. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch is ordered. Weapon away.
All stations sonar has explosion in the water.
In less than a minute from first contact, the target is destroyed. Commander Evans can even order a helicopter to confirm their kill.
Aztec TO, let's go ahead and send in the helo to take a look at the battle damage assessment.
TO bridge, hold.
Roger, from the bridge, understand oil slick in the water. Aztec, let's take a look and verify.
No debate here.
Captain, looks like we got him.
Roger, service, go ahead and go out with that mission kill. Roger.
The Fitzgerald has blown their imaginary prey out of the water, but it took a team of dozens